The kubotan serves many different purposes in self-defense. One, it can be used as a control and restraint tool. Two, it can be used as a striking tool. Three, the kubotan can be used as an anchoring or trapping tool. Four, it can be used for raising skills, which is discussed in my Widowmaker and feral fighting programs. And finally, the kubotan can be used as a fist loading tool that will enhance punching power. In order to use the kubotan or your wara stick effectively, you have to have a fundamental understanding of hand grips. Now we have a variety of different hand grips we're going to make you familiar with. We have the hammer grip, and that's defined by the majority of the kubotan being above Brad's thumb line. Then we have the ice pick, and that's where the majority of the kubotan is below the pinky area. We have the modified ice pick, we have the reinforced ice pick, we have the center point grip, and that's where there's an equal amount of kubotan above and below. And then we have saber grip. So these are the different types of hand grips that you should be familiar with in order to be effective with the kubotan or your wara stick. There are a couple of stances you can use with the kubotan. However, before we get into the different stances, it's important to understand that there is a contact phase of combat and a pre-contact phase. Now, a contact phase of combat, for example, is you're walking down the street, a street criminal is lying in wait, he jumps, attacks you, gets you in a bear hug, and then you respond, hopefully, instinctually and intuitively with an appropriate technique. Now, the pre-contact phase of combat is when you're approached by somebody and you have the opportunity to set up a protective stance, such as a de-escalation or first strike stance, and you can apply various strategic techniques and tactics in order to try to defuse the situation or launch that first strike. What I'm going to show you now is in the pre-contact phase of combat that you can use certain strategic stances with the kubotan. So now that you have an understanding of the pre-contact phase of combat, we're going to have Tim, the guy on the left, confronted by Rich. Rich is obviously the aggressor, the guy on the right. What Tim is going to use, he has the kubotan in his hand, he's going to use the low concealment position, and the kubotan is actually in his right hand. And what it is, it's being concealed behind the forearm. Tim, could you show the viewers where it is? Okay, so it's right there, and now bring it back to where it's concealed. Okay, and notice how he has his other hand up. Tim has that left hand up. So this is a low concealment position. Rich is the aggressor. He's threatening Tim. And notice that they're in the neutral zone. That's the distance where Rich cannot kick him, punch him, or grab him. And that's where Tim can keep that, that right hand down. Now you might say to yourself, why doesn't Tim bring his hand up? It could be a situation where he was suddenly caught off guard and he didn't have time to raise his hand up. And if he did so, Rich would probably see the kubotan. So Tim wants to keep it concealed. So Rich has no idea what's going on, but it can be used pretty quickly if he needs to have it put into use. So this is the low concealment position or the low concealment stance that's used in the neutral zone. That's the distance where you and the aggressor cannot touch each other with the hands or the feet. No punches or grappling techniques can occur from here. Next we have the high concealment position, and this is where the kubotan is actually being concealed behind your forearm, but both hands are up. Tim, can you just gesture with your hands, your shoulder and whatnot? So he's talking to the individual. Now this stance is used when the assailant is very close to you, the punching or grappling range, and all you really see are the keys here. You don't really see the kubotan. Tim, can you show the viewers where the kubotan is? Very good, and bring it back. So it's being concealed, and when you use different types of gestures and you gesticulate with your hands, he really is not going to be paying attention to the possible kubotan that's being concealed behind the forearm. So Rich, why don't you step in there and show the viewers the range here. So now Rich is close to Tim. They're no longer in the neutral zone, and from here Tim can launch a strike. So Tim just demonstrated a strike there. He easily demonstrate a short arc hammer fist from there. Come back. So this is considered a high concealment position, and it's used when holding the kubotan, and it's used in a range of engagement such as punching and grappling range of combat. Tim, let's demonstrate a real basic drill that will help the viewers become more acquainted with the different positions. Let's start off with the low concealment position. Notice how Tim blades his body at a 45-degree angle. He conceals the kubotan behind the forearm, and it's very important that you do blade your body, you angle it at 45 degrees because that will diminish targets for your assailant and it'll also enhance stability. Keep your knee slightly bent and make sure your other hand is up in a protective position. Now let's go to high concealment. High concealment position. Again, notice how the feet don't change. He still maintains that 45-degree protective angle. He has the hands up and he's gesticulating. He's moving, shrugging his shoulders. Maybe he's moving his hands a little bit, but he's trying to always keep that kubotan concealed from the adversary. Now, the adversary can see the keys. That's no problem, but we don't want him to see the kubotan. Okay, let's go back to low concealment position. Okay, so again, he has a hand up, his body's bladed, the forearm is concealing the kubotan from the adversary. Good, and let's go back to high concealment position. Very good. And again, it's important to gesticulate, to shrug the shoulders, right? You want to give the impression that you're not hiding anything from the adversary. And of course, you're going to use selective semantics, or what we call choice words, that will be congruent with the scenario or situation that you're faced with. So it'll go a long way in terms of helping with the concealment strategy. Okay, one more time. Let's go to the low concealment position. Good. Again, the hands up, body's bladed, 45 degree. Excellent. One thing worth mentioning is that, as most of my viewers know, I'm a strong advocate of the CWCT principle, which is closest weapon, closest target. For example, if Tim was in a knife fight, he would have the knife in his front hand, not his rear hand. But now with the kubotan, you might be wondering how come Tim is holding the kubotan in the rear hand, and the reason being is that by holding the kubotan in the rear hand in a low concealment position, it's the thigh, the rear thigh, that helps aid in the concealment. So that's why we keep it in the backhand. And Tim, keep your other hand up, please. Okay, so now there's his protective hand positioning. So if the assailant, of course, he's in the neutral zone or maybe a kicking range, Tim has a buffer, it's his left hand, from an assailant that, let's say, he rushes him. And then if Tim wants to deploy the weapon, Tim, bring it up, he can launch his strike from there. So the reason why we have the kubotan in the backhand is because we can help conceal it against the rear thigh. And that's very important to conceal that the weapon from the adversary. Now, Tim, let's go to the high concealment position again one more time. Tim again has the kubotan concealed behind the forearm, but it's actually in Tim's rear hand. The reason why, again, the CWCT, or closest weapon, closest target theory, doesn't apply is because Tim is now confronted by an assailant in CQC, or close quarter combat, either the punching range or the grappling range. And if Tim decided to launch his first strike, I can guarantee you the assailant is not going to have enough defensive reaction time to effectively defend against the assault. So it doesn't matter if it's in the rear hand, he's still going to be able to launch that strike, and there's really nothing the assailant can do. So you can keep the kubotan in the rear hand for both the low concealment and high concealment positions. Russ and Tim are going to demonstrate how you can move from the low concealment position to a high concealment position without showing your opponent the kubotan. Tim's going to be the bad guy. Russ, of course, on the left is going to be the good guy, and we'll see how he does. Ready, guys? Begin.
I don't want any trouble, please. You don't want any trouble? Just relax.
Good. Start again. Tim, encroach and push. Good. Very good. Good.
Just cut me off. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Now, Russ, show how you can easily deploy the kubotan from there. Good. Very good. Okay, begin.
Got a problem with me? You looking at me? No, I'm not.
That's right. Remember to shrug the shoulders, keep the body angled at a 45 degree, stay balanced. That's it. Good. Conceal that kubotan. Good job. So Russ right now is in low concealment. Tim cannot see it. And then he flows into high concealment. Good. Russ, again, show you can strike from there. Good.